Hello everybody, this is HG Shaves here. I'm back with another video. I hope this finds you well and in good spirits. We're wearing the That Was Close Maggard Razor shirt once again, and maybe we'll see how many videos in a row I can remember to wear this thing. So today we're actually using nothing new. I settled on this kind of blue theme for my shaves this week, and I really enjoyed all the shaves that I had, so I decided let's just stick with it, regardless of the fact that nothing's really new. So let's start with the brush. This is the Decoration Grooming Randy Watson, like Randy Watson from Coming to America. If you haven't seen that movie or haven't seen that clip, just look up Randy Watson. It's absolutely hysterical. Here's the brush. Something I noticed about this brush, I've had it for quite some time. It looks like it's different shades on each side. So this side's a little lighter, and then this side is a little darker. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but anyway, something I noticed. Wonderful B8 knot. I'm going to go ahead and put this in some warm water to soak. Now then, what else are we using? Right, we're using Australian Private Reserve Noble Otter marbles. It's crazy to me to think that this was gifted to us at the end of 2019, meaning that it's been over 2 years now, which is really crazy. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the soap, and I'm here to clear the air, so to speak, if I can. This was a gift to our chat group, and there were some issues in the past where people would try to sell the set if they weren't a fan of the scent, and that was absolutely not supposed to happen, right? If you don't like it because it was a gift, you should try to trade it to somebody and ideally try to keep it within the group. But then there have been some special exceptions to that rule. In terms of the scent, it is basically, from what I understand, from what Dan of APR told us, it is Fenchurch, but with higher quality fragrance materials, supposedly. So it's like a tobacco cherry kind of deal. And there's a bunch of notes in it, and this is what it looks like at this point. Kind of a typical Noble Otter look. If you see those little dots in your Noble Otter soap, don't be too alarmed. It seems to happen with a lot of them. So that's the soap. Really enjoying that. And then for the razor, we're still using the Feather DX Artist Club razor, but this week decided to step it up a notch, and I did bust out the Schick P30s. I've used this blade before, actually, in the Blackland Vector when I reviewed that on this channel, again, over a year ago now, I think. And definitely a much different experience to the guarded blades. You just have to really mind the pressure, is what I found. And it is very smooth, and the way it cuts, it is a little bit smoother than the guarded blades. There's none of that kind of tugging sensation. However, I'm still undecided if I prefer this blade or just the soft guard. Anyway, I'm sort of taking a chance with y'all today because this could be a little bit of a violent endeavor if my technique is on point today. So with that in mind, let's get into building this lather. I'm going to put some warm water on my face. What's the newest about the weather? So I think last week when I talked to y'all, it was pretty frigid here. And then fortunately, just letting some water out of the brush. Fortunately, this week we got above freezing. Woohoo! We got up to like 40 Fahrenheit the other day, and it was just glorious. Got to leave the parka at home and got to wear just a normal jacket, and that's always cool. It's funny, comment below if this is your experience. So when I was a kid growing up in South Florida, where we literally never turned the heat on the entire time we lived there, a parka was the plastic thing that you would wear when you went to SeaWorld and you didn't want to get splashed on, so you put on the plastic parka thing so that it would protect your clothes. However, here in the Midwest and presumably other cold parts of the world, a parka is a real heavy coat. Perhaps it's got a little fur, fake fur on the hood. But man, I was really bummed when I moved here and I learned that that's what a parka meant here. I think I just always wish I were back in Florida and I didn't need that coat, All I needed would be some plastic throwaway parka if I just didn't want to get my clothes sopping wet at SeaWorld. Different kind of worlds, right? Anyway, yeah, this brush is kind of jelly. I would say it's sort of in the middle of the B8 knots that I've tried, in that it's not super jelly, it's not unjelly, it's like somewhere in the middle. And so it's been pretty kind of soupy in the beginning this week for some reason with this base, but it comes together. It's just you might see some stuff start flying here in a moment. So this is the older Noble Otter soap base. This is, I believe, the V2 version. And see, there you go. It starts to get a little messy, but that's okay. This is the V2, as I said. This one generally likes kind of a heavy load with a good amount of water. So that's why I've stuck with this kind of loading method this week. And man, the house today is really talkative. I don't know if you could hear that. Anyway, so yeah, I've had no issues lathering the soap this week. And man, it is a strong set. Again, if you smelled Fenchurch, then you basically know what this is about. There was a parfum made for this. Extrait was the strength. Excuse the truck in the alley. And man, the fragrance form of this scent was powerful. I mean, I used one spray of that, I remember, and I was like suffocating. I immediately had to send that to someone else because it was just too much. So I found that the soap and splash, I've got the splash over there, I don't think I showed you all that. The soap and splash are kind of the right mediums for the scent for me. So I'm going to keep lathering this in, and I'll bring it back in when I'm about to start my first pass. Okay, lather is flying everywhere. This is by far the most messy I've gotten this week, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. Let's go ahead and get going with our shave here. Just gonna get some water on the blade, and here we go. All right, so the Feather DX Schick Proline P30 with, this is like 4 shaves or something. So again, I'm gonna try to just keep a light touch. Like it's so effortless actually at cutting through that hair if you keep it light. Just feels very smooth as long as you keep the angle. It's the other thing too, you gotta keep that angle straight. So it's like, once I found the angle, I don't feel the need to go slowly, but it's like I just try to make sure I have it before I go wild. Found that could be a little bit of a tricky spot. So I remember in the product description for this razor, they said that, you know, it's supposed to only, you're supposed to only use the weight of the razor to shave, right? Which is, in theory, what you want to do with every razor. But I would say with those guarded blades, I was definitely exerting a little bit of pressure, which is not a good thing. Okay, and now let's go down the neck. All right. Thank you all for the encouraging comments last week. That was very nice to read. I don't know how long I'm going to continue using this razor, but I do want to give it, a good fair shake. I have a sort of soft goal of wanting to do 100 shaves with open blade razors this year. So I say not just specifically this razor, because I also might like to try the Tetulus out of Switzerland. That definitely looks like a nice razor. So I might like to use that, and then also if somebody sent me a straight that were home, strop, ready to go, yeah, I'd probably use it. Got it, mostly. I found sometimes that you don't need to rinse this razor that often because it's going to clog or something, but it's that you'll get soap on your fingers and you're trying to hold it across the face, and it can just be kind of a mess. All right, that felt pretty good. I'm going to rinse, come back, and we're going to do that same pass again for pass number 2. So, be right back. Okay, pass number 2, here we go. Here's pass number 2 with the DX. We're just going to do the same direction. So, the scent, if you've ever heard anything about Fenchurch, because that's a fairly popular APR scent. Some people, especially in the soap, they notice this kind of Play-Doh note. And I'm sorry if you have the soap and you didn't recognize that, and then now it ruins it for you forever. But for some reason, I noticed when I had a Fenchurch soap that had more of the Play-Doh than this. This has a little bit of it, but it's much more tolerable for me. I would assume it has something to do with how some of the fragrance materials react with the soap base, because I really don't notice it in the splash or fragrance of any of those. Here we're just going to do that same thing where I do the whole part with my right. Okay. And then maybe we'll do the rest with the left. That seems like a good idea. There are still a couple spots where I wish I were doing a little bit more stretching or something. But yeah, it's going okay, baby steps. Given how good some parts of shaving with this razor feel, that really gives me hope that, soap on the nose, it gives me hope that it's going to feel better as my technique gets better, you know. And it's not like a flawed razor or something, obviously. That part I can't really see when I got the camera here and I'm looking over here, but I can kind of do it by feel and it's okay. Okay, decent second pass. The third pass, we're going to do that kind of hybrid thing again. So I'm going to rinse and then come back for that. Third and final pass. The only thing I could say, if you get this kind of messy wet lather going and you're using something like this, just make sure you keep rinsing your hands. And that's kind of what I'm doing when I cut away, making sure to rinse my hands. Okay, so we're going to do kind of a cross the grain thing here. Feels great. So if you get stuck kind of like I did there, where it was either, I don't know, the angle or the pressure or whatever, don't try to force your way through it because that's when bad stuff happens. Okay, again, and if you do this, make sure you rinse before you go underneath here because otherwise you just end up with lather going everywhere. So I can go comfortably like that, but then I can't, my technique isn't good enough to kind of go over that ridge, so I've been kind of cheating. And then I just get it like that, and it's close enough. That part is weird because it's my left hand on my right side, and so that makes it a little extra difficult. Okay, we're going to go across here. Okay, and then now we'll do the against thing here. And again, this feels a little bit better because it's my right hand doing the work. Okay, so I can kind of do it there. And we'll come back and do some touch-ups maybe. Okay, let's go across here. Got one little spot, it looks like. And we can go against here. I've been doing this with pretty good success. Something this razor is great at is if you missed a hair under there, and you realize that after the third pass or something, and you need to go back and try to slice it off, you can really get it on the first go with this. Okay, and let's try going against here. Let's get crazy. Again, that's really about the best I could do. So then I switch back, and let's see if we can't go across here, if I can figure out my scales. Okay. So again, it's just a reminder with any razor, but especially with these kinds of razors, if you feel a spot and you start to do the stroke and it doesn't feel good, just stop and try to go in some other direction that's more comfortable. So we're gonna feel around here, see how we did. Seems like we did pretty well. Just maybe a couple little weepers. Let me grab this side. Part. These little parts behind the jaw are always an issue for me, but actually not as much with this razor, to be fair, I think, because it's just so efficient, it knocks it down. Okay, let's leave it right there. So we escaped another shave with this DX. So I'm gonna rinse and then come back and talk to you over post-shave in just a minute. Stay tuned. Okay, so we toweled off mostly, feeling pretty dry and good. And then now let's do some alum. So you just wet the alum block and then let's see how we did. A little under the nose. Nothing really through there, surprisingly. And then now the neck, a little worried. Yeah, a little bit right there. Yeah, that's about it. Actually better than I thought. I've definitely had worse alum feedback situations. So we're just gonna rinse that off. And then we'll leave it out to dry for a little bit and then case it back up in a minute. Yeah, and then we're just letting that soak in for a second, and then now we'll rinse it off with some cold water. And again, alum doesn't work for everybody, and so if it doesn't work for you, don't try to make it so. I think the reason why alum leaves me feeling so kind of squeaky clean, I mean, you can even hear it kind of, is because I do maybe leave my face with a little bit more soap residue on it than other people do. And so as a result, there's usually a little bit of slickness left there. But then if you use the alum, it totally kills that. So let's use the matching Marbles Splash. This is the current Splash base, and it's fantastic. It's really one of the best splash formulas out there, in my opinion. So if you haven't tried Noble Otter's Splash base, I highly recommend you do so. So it is alcohol based, but there's not much feedback because the alum kind of already gave me the feedback I needed. And yeah, that's a lovely scent. It starts to open up a little bit, I think, kind of as the like raw ingredients scents go away. Yeah, very nice. So I think that's going to do it for today. Let's do a final wrap up. We used the Marbles Soap and Splash from Noble Otter, Australian Private Reserve, and then we used the Declaration Grooming B8 Randy Watson, and we used the Feather DX Artist Club razor. So again, I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue with the DX, but I do want to give it a fair shake and see if I can get even better with it. So thank you all for bearing with me in the meantime. If you have any other requests, like for brush or software, feel free to let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll be happy to fulfill those requests if I can, while I'm still sticking with this razor for at least another week or two. So for now, this has been H2 Shaves. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.